So welcome back. I am finally back. I finally put him to sleep. Now there is a noise going on outside of the window. Apparently they're mowing the lawn right now. So let me kind of give you a rundown from where I finished off. So now in this part, we're 2 months, I think we're a month or two, I'm gonna say a month in, and of getting to know each other. We're talking, we're praying every day. When I tell you we're talking hours of the day. We're getting closer. There's division beginning to start with, where my family, friends, some of them are in disagreement, some of them are kind of like seeing something coming out of this. I had some that were on my side, some that wasn't, with me communicating with him. Now it got to the point where feelings were starting to happen. I was starting to catch feelings for him, and he was starting to catch feelings for me too. But again, because he was married, I was, basically like letting him know, like, yeah, this can't go far because, you're married, and I don't think that we should be talking in this way, but I can't help that I'm actually catching feelings. And so that's why, before I even go into that, you have to be very careful who you, how can I say this, pray with. Whether if it's the opposite sex, you got to be very careful, because there's something about that. Things can happen, especially when somebody is married. So again, he's married, but he's separated. So I remember it was one incident, we had talked about this whole thing about, him being separated from his wife, and I'm catching feelings and he's catching feelings, like, you really can't, there's nothing that can come out of that. And he was like, well, yes it is, because unfortunately she's not really my wife. So I'm saying, I was like, excuse me, come again, what do you mean? He was saying, no, unfortunately she's not my wife, because the Lord had warned me about marrying her. She was once married before me. So apparently his ex-wife was already married. So now he's throwing me Bible verses about, how you can't get remarried and stuff like that, and how he married this woman out of disobedience, and this is why all these things were happening between them. That's why it was so toxic. He almost lost his mind. He did mention about, it got to a point where he was kind of putting his hands out on her. He's putting his hands on her, well, because she was, I guess, triggering him, and she was putting her hands on him. So now, I'm not even gonna lie. At first, it was like I had all these emotions, because I'm like, wait, what? But then at the same time, I was beginning to feel bad for him. So I'm like, okay, well, I kind of understand where you're coming from. And so now it got to the point where we were just focusing on what the Bible says about remarriage and stuff like that. Because trust me, I was trying to figure out, like, what is, to my understanding, I thought that you can get married. I still do, that you can get remarried or whatever the case is. So he was coming at this with me basically to make me feel comfortable on what he was feeling. So now at this point, he's telling me that he believes that I'm his wife. So now I'm like, whoa, this is coming a little too fast. Like, what do you mean? He was like, yeah, I believe that you're the wife that the Lord has for me, and we're going to pray about it. We're going to fast about it. And I believe the Lord is going to reveal it to you. So again, we will be constantly praying. Now it got to the point where I'm going to be so real with you. Now that I look back, it got to the point that I was so blinded by this man that even when I prayed, I didn't pray wanting to know the truth. I prayed wanting my truth. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. I prayed wanting my truth. So when I prayed, some way, somehow, I will try my best to block out what the Lord was showing me, because I wanted what I wanted, right? So I will sit there and tell the Lord, this is who I want, God. I want a man powerful like him. Because again, a lot of times even going to church, a lot of times I will hear the prophecies concerning his life and how they will say, well, God is going to use you mightily and stuff like that. So again, I'm coming from dealing with street men. I've never dealt with a church man. So seeing this was like, oh my God, I want this. I want this man of God. I want this guy. He prays with me. God, you use him to heal me. Like so many things. And this is who I want. So, there will be times where he'll come and he'll say, well, look, I seen this, at this point we were starting to have like little dreams here and there. Or more so, it was people coming to us saying, oh yeah, that's your wife, mind you, he's still married. They're separated, but there are people coming to us prophesying, saying that, we're meant to be together. And so at this, I ain't even gonna lie, like it kind of started to become kind of like confusing. I was starting to feel confused, even though I was being activated, right? He was definitely being used to help me a lot, right? I'm more in my word. I'm praying, my dreams are activating, but I still had this confusion that was coming up, right? This just like, I don't know what to do. Maybe we got to ask the Lord. And it was more so confusion and it's like I was becoming anxious. And again, the Bible says, do not be anxious for nothing. And also confusion does not come from the Lord. But at this time, I'm not even looking at it like that. I'm just looking at it like, it's so much going on, especially when I have people behind me, like my family. I got people telling me, be careful. It's something off about that. Don't trust that. He's married, God doesn't work like that. God is not an author of confusion and, stuff like that. But then I'm over here getting totally love bombed by this man. Love bomb. I'm getting Bible from him, prophecies from him. I mean, deliverance. And when I say, you're probably looking in like, but how, what do you mean? Like what can come back? What can come out of this? Like what wrong can come out of this? Well, we do know that the Bible says that gift come without repentance. Okay. So you can have that gift and the Lord can very well use you, but that does not mean that you and the Lord on the same page. He can very well use your gift to get the glory out of it, but that don't mean that you and him on the same page. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So again, as this is beginning to happen, I started having dreams. Like I remember having a dream about me having a little boy by him. I think that was the first dream I had. I seen a little boy. And I remember waking up telling him, like, I seen this little boy, he had a dream. Now his name is Ephraim, and that's another testimony. I will be talking about Ephraim's testimony. Yes. So in the dream, I've had, mind you, we're 2 months in, I believe. So I had this dream about this little baby boy and it's his. So I'm like, oh, that's the Lord. The Lord is confirming to me that you're my husband. So he's excited, of course, he's like, oh yeah, see what I'm saying? So then I will start having dreams about him, how like dealing with, then I will have dreams about him and another male. And, and I just be like, yeah, this gotta be the devil. Something ain't. But I'm gonna tell you, it was things that I would see in him that I, at the time, I would kind of try to, brush it off because I'm assuming like, okay, he's a different breed. I'm not used to this. He goes to church, whatever. But it was certain acts and certain movements, hand movements and stuff that I was beginning to see. But I was kind of brushing it off like, yeah, because nothing was overpowering the fact that this man was being used, right? And the stuff that was going on, the signs and wonders, right? So, yeah, I would start having dreams about him being with another man or, whatever. So I remember asking him like, hey, so, since the Lord's been using me, I feel like my dream's been activated. What is this about? Like, why am I dreaming about you being with another man? Have you dealt with a man before? And he was like, no, that's crazy because the enemy tried to play with my ex-wife like that. I mean, it was times where she might have caught me talking to a homosexual and she thought that I was involved in that. It was times that she'll accuse me of that. Also, it was something about, he told me about a godfather that he had, that he was a backup singer for a gospel artist, and how, he was under him trying to get his little record deal. But that's another thing, he was good at, he was doing Christian rap as well. And how he dealt with this man as, I guess so this man can help him out, but he had him, considered him as a godfather. But apparently this godfather was trying to make a move on him, and, things went left. Not that he told me he didn't do anything. So I'm starting to open my eyes up, but I'm like, wait a minute. So anyway, did I leave it like that? No, I kept asking him, like, okay, so what do you mean? Like, go in detail. So I realized that he will become irritated because I was constantly on that, because it was like, once he kind of admitted, not that he really admitted it, but once he was kind of giving me clues, it was like, yeah, something is up about this. Like, something is, I need to know more about this. Like, so I would constantly keep asking him, like, so tell me more, so why would your ex-wife feel some type of way? And, then he began to say how, she kicked him out one time because, she kicked him out and he had nowhere to stay. And he had this guy that he ran into, they became friends, and then he was staying with the guy in his apartment. And, even then she assumed that they were together, they was having relations and stuff like that. So I'm like, well, what do you mean? So honestly, it kind of got to the point where I just was like, whatever, God is going to reveal it, but at the same time, I was really uneasy, what I'm saying? And it was more so like the desperateness. And I'm going to tell you, because I got to the point of being desperate, because of course, I've been through all this hurt. I've had all these failed relationships, and here I have somebody who I believe to be the man of God. Do I want to let that go? This could be my last chance. This is how I'm thinking, right? This is how I am thinking. Or should I say the enemy, putting these thoughts in my head. So I'm like, I don't want to let this go. Like, maybe this is just the devil. And so it got to the point where he will use that and say it's just the devil, because the devil knows that me and you are going to be a powerful couple, that we're going to be a force to be reckoned with, and all this other stuff. So I'm like, okay, all right, maybe you're right. And so, man, it got to the point where, we were starting to become even closer. But it will be times where something about him will irritate my spirit. Like, I will start to feel like this disgusting feeling about him. It was just something like a perverted spirit on him. And it was like the more I prayed, see, this is the crazy thing. The more I prayed, the more the Lord was revealing. But I was blocking. Okay, I was blocking it by constantly going to him. So at this point, he's becoming my idol, because I'm coming to him and I'm revealing to him what the Lord is saying. And yet he will turn it around and pray with me. And next thing you know, it will be gone out the wind somewhere. But it was constant. So it was like an up and down thing, right? So it will be times when we would end up in arguments. I mean, it was just like, oh my God. And nothing. Again, I'm just like, it's no man. I'm not going to ever find a man like this. So I'm not going to let this go. So then we got to a point where we finally felt like, this was the Lord, and this is what the Lord wants, is for us to get married. So let's make this happen. So he ended up getting a divorce. Mind you, we're 2 months in. He was definitely trying to avoid me talking to his ex-wife. Now, he will say so much stuff so that I won't even try to get to her. In other words, he was saying so much stuff so that I can begin to hate her myself. So at this point, I'm like, this lady is delusional. She's mad. And at the same time, I was fully believing, because again, he didn't have me so brainwashed with the remarriage and divorce that I literally felt like, yeah, I'm the real wife, so she doesn't even count, right? So I know it sounds crazy, but yes, this is the real deal. And I'm gonna speak this, because what's so crazy is a lot of women are going through this. A lot of women are meeting these men in churches, and they are being brainwashed, literally brainwashed, right? They are being manipulated and being abused, you know, and you need to hear, but you don't hear this a lot. You know what I'm saying? You don't. And you need to hear this, and you need to know that the Lord is on your side and you're not alone. And what you're feeling right now, you're not alone. Okay. So let me keep going. So again, we're praying, we're fasting, and like I said, things were kind of starting to get on a rocky side, because I'm getting this little disgusting feeling. He finally got a divorce. Mind you, we're 2 months, 3 months in. I remember we decided we was going to pray, you know, and something happened where I think me and him kind of got into an argument. And I kind of went to sleep, you know, upset, like, okay, maybe he's not my husband. I end up going to sleep, and Lord and behold, I end up having this dream that I was snatched outside of the earth. Mind you, I'm outside of the earth, and I'm looking down, and I can see these how can I say this? It looked like something guarding the earth, right? It looked like some I can't explain it, right? Like bars or something. So as I'm outside the earth, I hear this audible voice tell me, "You shall not get married because of disobedience." I heard that voice clear as day. You shall not get married because of disobedience. So I wake up with my heart pounding real bad, and I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? And I called the guy, you know, and I'm like, hey, I just had this dream. Oh my God, my heart is beating on my chest. Maybe you're not my husband. I don't think we should get married. And he was like, no, calm down, calm down. You know, that's just the enemy. Remember what I told you. You know, the enemy doesn't want us to get married. And, you know, that's the devil. And I'm like, you sure? I don't know. Well, let's pray before we go to sleep. So I end up praying. We end up praying. I end up going to sleep. And it was just so weird I was trying to find a wedding dress, and I couldn't find the right one, right? So mind you, again, I call him, and he's letting me know, you know, you're just panicking. That's why, you know, you're having all these dreams. Some dreams are from your emotions, and some dreams are from, you know, the devil, some dreams are from the Lord. So I'm like, okay, you know, maybe you're right, whatever the case is. So we bypassed all that, and then it got to a point where, you know, we decided that we were going to go on with the wedding. I mean, going on with getting married. So we decided that we were going to pray and ask the Lord for a date. He came out his mouth and said that the Lord revealed to him that we were to get married on March 16th of 2016. So here I am being excited, because I'm like, oh my God, we're about to get married. You know, this is the real deal. And I'm like, wow, so soon, you know, but I'm, you know, and of course we're like, well, you know, the Lord works that way. You know, he wants us to get this going. We got a ministry to do and such and such and such. So I'm like, okay, I'm believing him, like, okay, sure, you know. And I'm gonna say, you know, I decided to go and let my mom and my family, my sister know, like, hey, I'm getting married. And once again, when I tell you, it was some people like, heck no, something is not right. You cannot be getting married with this man. And as a matter of fact, let me tell you, actually, we got engaged in the midst of him, I believe, still separated, but he was waiting on his divorce papers. So when I opened my mouth about it, people were feeling some type of way, because they're like, yo, God doesn't work that way. It's no way that this man has not even completely been fully divorced and you guys are planning on getting married. So when I tell you, the division was on a whole nother level, like it was arguments being told. I mean, me and my sister even stopped talking to each other. I mean, it was just bad. Like things were just going sour. But it got to a point where it ended up being me surrounded around my family to just me and him against the world. And so, you know, it was just like, you know, some people are jealous of you. Some people they see what can go on through this. And, you know, they they just don't want us to get married. You know, you got to know that the enemy, once again, it's the enemy, right? So I'm like, yeah, you're right. You know, you're right. We're the enemy doesn't want us to get married. So, I'm gonna say the day of the engagement, what happened to the day of the engagement, right? It was so rinky dinky. I think I remember we went to the Cheesecake Factory, and you know, he had on this thrift store plaided shirt with the thrift store pants. I mean, why I'm saying thrift store, because he was smelling like a thrift store, and I'm being straight up with you, right? So I'm noticing these things, and I'm like, ooh, yeah, something ain't right. But at the same time, something else that kind of made me look at him even more sideways was he had cut his beard off. Now you looking at me like, what you mean? What do you mean he cut his beard off? He cut his beard off. And when I look back spiritually, I was able to see what he was dealing with. Now, when he cut this beard off, mind you, he just got this one. So you already know where I'm going at. He was looking like a straight pervert, right? And mind you, I kept feeling that from him. I just kept getting that feeling, like it was like a disgusted feeling, like, he has this spirit of perversion on him, like something, you know, it's something about him. And when I tell you, it'll be times that he will be even around, like, you know, he'll be around me, and he'll be looking at other women and sometimes men. But I'll just be like, you know what? No, this is not, you know, here I am trying to make myself be confident, because literally I had low self-esteem, right? But I'm playing it off, right? Remember, I'm playing this cool, you know, I'm with a man of God. And I will kind of, you know, but the thing is, it was just so heavy, because even when his beard, and I even had to come out my mouth with like, oh my God, why did you cut your beard off? Like, it makes you look perverted. He got offended, like, you know, but mind you, I was very outspoken, you know, you know, after a while of things, you get shut down. You're not the same no more. You know, I believe the Lord has changed me for the good. But mind you, I had to express myself, because I'm like, look, we're about to get married, so I have to let you know how I feel. I was letting him know, like, look, something is not right. Like, I'm feeling uncomfortable. I don't like the fact that you cut your beard off. You know, you're starting to present something that I don't, you know, and I can't shake it. Like, I keep just getting this disgusting feeling about you. And he's like, well, what do you mean? You know, he was kind of getting his feelings, kind of getting defensive, right? So mind you, after we, you know, he proposed, and going back to the Cheesecake Factory, he proposed, you know, he fake gave me the ring, and the ring wasn't even, he got the ring from, I believe it was like, it wasn't even, where did he get the ring? He just got a rinky-dink Cuban zirconian $50 ring. First of all, he didn't even have the money. He had the money for it. He got me a $50 ring. He, once again, remember, he was living, in other words, he was like a vagabond. He wasn't even living by himself. He was living with an older woman. When I say she's about 80. And let's see. Yeah, it's just, when I think about this stuff, it just be like, Lord, wow. But I had to go through this for somebody out there, for you. And so we went into the movie theater, and I remember in the back of my head, I'm just trying to play this out, like, oh my God, why am I now feeling disgusted? Why am I feeling like I don't even want to marry this guy? Like, something is kind of off. Like, what is going on? So yeah, we left. We ended up going to McDonald's, right? Because for some reason I got hungry after the movie theaters. Even though it was at the Cheesecake Factory, I kind of got hungry. So I kind of wanted something from the dollar menu. So he tells me, yeah, you need to be picking something off the salad side. You need to get a salad, not a burger. This is how he spoke to me. So I'm like, who are you talking to? What do you mean? I can get what I want. What do you mean? Like, who are you going to tell? How are you going to tell me what I want to eat? If I want to eat a burger, that's what I'm going to eat. So he's like, yeah, but I think you should get a salad. You shouldn't be getting another burger. If anything, you shouldn't be eating it at all. So mind you, I'm like, whoa, where is this coming from? So I'm seeing a whole nother side. Mind you, I'm already looking at you like a pervert. I'm looking at you sideways. You got this thrift store clothes on, and then you over here trying to tell me what I'm going to eat. Red flags, right? So at this point, we go back and forth. I decided to call it off. I said, you know what? Give me some time. I need to think about this. This is not right. So we gave each other some time. It got to a point where, you know, he was reaching out and he's like, you know, Jennifer, we need to talk about this. We need to try to seek counseling. So this is where we open up to the pastors of the church. Now, when we open up to the pastors of the church, they pulled me to the side and was like, Jennifer, what are you doing? This man was just in a marriage and he was just here with his wife not too long ago for therapy, for marriage counseling. So what do you mean you guys are going to get married? And I was like, yeah, you know, this is what happened. So here we are explaining to the pastor what we believe the Lord was showing us concerning us. So the pastor is, you know, he didn't really want to say too much. I guess he was trying to bear with us, you know, but eventually it got to a point where he, you know, he was like, he couldn't do it, you know, and he wasn't agreeing with us getting married, and that was it. So when he said that, of course, the guy that I was engaged with was like, you know what? We don't need that. We maybe the Lord doesn't want us to be at the church. Maybe the Lord wants us to just do our own thing, because remember, we have a ministry, so we don't really need him, you know. So I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right. You're right. We don't need him, because dang, he didn't even help me, you know, when I needed him. Well, he wasn't even, you know, like, he wasn't the one that was praying with me or letting me know what I was dealing with or letting me know what to do. Like, at the end of the day, I didn't learn anything from him. You know, this is how I'm going, right? And so we basically were like, you know, forget that. We're not even going to be part of this church. We're going to let the church go. So eventually we end up calling him, letting him know that, you know, how we felt, and we're going to proceed on this marriage. We're going to proceed on getting married, and, you know, thank you for for being there, but we're leaving the church. So when I tell you, it started something so big, like, even got to the point that even the church members that we knew just backed up from us. Now, it was because the pastor was kind of being immature, as he was letting them know, like, yeah, you don't need to talk to them no more. You know, they decided they wanted to leave. So in other words, he didn't want us to really tell them what kind of really happened, because some more stuff happened, but I'm not here to be bashing nobody to pass out. So anyway, yeah, so here we are once again. It's us against the world. So for real, we really had this one lady who was on our side, which is Miss Evangelist. May she rest in peace. She was like a spiritual mom to me. At the same time, you know, I kind of feel like she knew some stuff and she didn't really speak up like she was supposed to. At the end, she ended up marrying us. So before we even got married, 2 weeks before our wedding, 3 weeks before our wedding, we end up falling into sin. We end up having sex on Valentine's Day. Mind you, we were practicing celibacy. He was adamant about that. Mind you, at the same time, he was even like, this man, when I tell you, God, he was used a lot. You know, he was even introducing me to all the sleep paralysis, all the, you know, all talking about the incubus, succubus spirits, all of those things. Because mind you, when he met me, I was getting attacked by all those things, and he was getting attacked from it too. But he was basically letting me know how we were able to, you know, stop that, like how to get delivered from it. So we will constantly be praying and fasting, right? To the point that those things had stopped. But of course, you know, I'm looking at it like, okay, you know, this has to be the man of God. But guess what? When the time came, he decided to give in, and we ended up having sex. And of course, I'm feeling like, oh my God, like, what are we going to do now? Because it's not the same no more. It's like we already didn't have sex. And it's like, what else? You know what I'm saying? So that was adding on to it, because I'm feeling like, man, what are we going to, it just don't feel as, even though things was already manifesting, it just wasn't, it kind of felt still safe to marry him, because we haven't had sex. But then we end up having sex. So then when we had sex, it was like, it just really felt like dead. Like it started to begin to feel like, what are we about to get married for? You know? And I just remember sitting on the corner like, oh my God, what did we do? Like, why did we even have sex? And so, Lord and behold, I got pregnant. The first time we had sex, 3 weeks before our wedding, I got pregnant. Now, I don't want to get too much in that pregnancy part, because it gets deep, because Ephraim, again, In that pregnancy, I have a major testimony, with that pregnancy. A lot of things started happening. So again, we end up getting married. Of course, it was like division. Barely, my mom barely wanted to come to my wedding. She didn't want to come because my sister didn't want to come. But eventually she came to the wedding. When I tell you we had to scoop up some change. No, actually the day before my wedding, no, I had ordered a wedding dress, right? This is how you know the Lord was putting his hand on it in so many ways. And I was playing the deaf ear. I ain't even gonna blame him too much because he already knew what he was doing. Because what I didn't tell you, that he is a prophet, right? Because again, gift is without repentance. So he was being spoken to, right? But that's later on what I'm gonna tell you when he really told me, when he really admitted. But anyway, I as well was being spoken to, but I had made him an idol to the point where I didn't even know. It's like he was my Lord with the Lord, with the lowercase L, So everything he was telling me, I was believing it. So because again, the prophet is the mouthpiece of the Lord. So I feel like I ain't even had to go myself to the Lord no more because I had him right here. Okay? I had the access right here. And so the day, okay, so I remember I ordered a wedding dress off Amazon. I put more lip gloss on. I had to put the lip gloss on. I ordered the dress off Amazon. It was a big wedding gown. Let me tell you, we barely even had money. Okay? And I was the one that always said I wanted a destination wedding. Asked me if it was a destination wedding. No, it was not. It got to a point where we had to scoop up change to get this hall rented out. Because it was more so, everything was coming out of our pockets. A lot of times weddings is always help, or it's either the father and stuff like that. Like, everything was just starting to happen up until the wedding. I introduced him to my dad. My dad, he played it cool, but yeah, my dad basically, pulled me to the side. I was like, don't get married to that man, because all he's gonna do is get you pregnant, and he is not good. He is not right for you, Jennifer. Now, because my dad wasn't present in my life, and because my dad ain't saved, and because my dad ain't no Christian, I looked at him like, you don't even know what you're talking about. I sure did. I told my dad, you don't even know what you're talking about. So my dad got mad. He said, I'm not coming to your wedding. So of course I didn't care too much, because I'm like, okay, well, you ain't coming to my wedding, good. I ordered this dress off Amazon. The dress came. The dress couldn't even go up one leg, because now the dress came from China. So think about it. I'm over here getting a size medium, right? When I should be getting a size extra large. And you know how Chinese people, their weights are different. So the dress ain't even fit, okay? So coming up to the wedding, the day before the wedding, I had to go to Amazon. I had to go to 3 different malls to find a wedding dress. I ended up going to, I think it was like Macy's, and Lord and behold, I found this in plain, it was nice and plain, but it was a nice little, a little $60 dress. And here I am thinking like, oh, you see, the Lord came through. And yet the Lord was giving me all the signs. Mind you, I'm going through all this confusion. I'm going through all these hormones because I'm pregnant. Nobody knows it though. The same time, division. These are red flags. People, they don't, I'm literally, it was just me and him. And here we go at this wedding. People came, but asked me if they came because they were supporting. People wasn't coming to support. People were coming because they wanted to see how this thing was going to play out. So, yeah, the wedding day comes. I remember, going to the spot, the venue, right? And I remember speaking to this lady about the wedding and about my because now at this point we're believing that we have a testimony to tell, right? We're like, oh my God, within 3 months the Lord revealed to us that I was his wife and he was my husband. So here I am just speaking to this lady, right? And mind you, she herself is a minister of the Lord, right? the owner of the venue. So I remember she spoke to me, and this was the prophecy that she given me. She said, the Lord is going to do big things with you. You're going to be that woman that they looked at as a prostitute. No, actually, she gave me a parable. She told me a story of an incident of a woman who's a prostitute, right? And how the Lord blessed her with her husband, who's a pastor, and how they end up pastoring all these churches, and how the Lord's going to do big things with them, right? So when she said that, she basically told me, she was like, you know, she got in about how I was, and she got the, you know, ministering to me about my past, and then she started prophesying. And she said, the husband that the Lord has for you, you guys are going to own many churches, you guys are going to do ministry together, and da 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 da. And though you may not be what he desired, but you're going to be the woman for him, and you guys are going to do something. You guys are going to do big things. So I'm listening to her, right? At the same time, I'm thinking like, okay, well, she must be talking about me and my husband, because did she know we about to get married? Mind you, I bypassed it, because I'm looking at, okay, she must be talking about me and him, you know, because I'm about to get married. This one about to get married. You know, did I mention to you that I was about to get married? But yeah, she's prophesying to me about something else. But I hear you, right? But I'm trying to put us in that prophecy. So again, I'm gonna tell you, my mind was gone. Okay, so here I am. Oh, and she was saying something about the day of my wedding. I was going to experience this miracle, like a miracle, right? It was going to be something like supernatural. So the day of the wedding, I remember, mind you, I had to do my own hair. Okay, maybe I did everybody's hair. I had to do my little flower girls, my daughters, but I didn't tell you I already have a daughter. You know, at this time I have an older daughter. She's, I mean, how old was she? She probably had to be like 5 or something like that. But anyway, yeah, so I'm doing everybody's hair. My hair, my makeup, putting my clothes on. Mind you, at this point, I'm sweating. The dress, feeling some type of way, I'm feeling bloated. And I just remember just standing there waiting for them to call me in. And I'm just like, okay, well, where's that supernatural feeling? I just kept saying, well, where's the supernatural feeling at? Where's the supernatural feeling? So as I'm going down the altar, you know, I see him standing right there. Mind you, you know, at this point, he didn't kind of, you know, took heed. He feeling himself, you know, his beard and grew in. He got this fresh little suit in, and he's really feeling himself. I don't even think he think about me coming down this altar, right? So as I'm walking towards him, I was waiting. Like, where's the supernatural stuff at, you know? And okay, we do the whole ceremony, go through. I remember my sister pulling me to the side crying, and she was like, you know, you made your decision and I'm going to be there for you. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm like, okay, wow, the Lord mended us, you know, cool. So then, you know, the wedding is going along, and I'm starting to see a wandering eye, right? So I'm like, wait a minute, am I tripping? So he's being introduced to my family, and I'm starting to see him. I'm starting to see them eyes wander. When I say eyes wander, he was to the point where he was looking up and down. I'm talking about every woman that was in there that had a booty or shape. He was staring them down. And I'm over here like, whoa, come again? Am I seeing this? Am I tripping? Like, I know I'm not tripping. Mind you, I was already seeing things, but it wasn't like to this extreme. Mind you, this is my wedding day. You're not about to play with me like that. So it went from me being happy to feeling like, oh my God, I'm ready to go home. Like, this cannot be real. When I tell you he was staring these women down, he was staring them down. I'm talking about family, my family, right? So I remember he invited his coworker. His coworker came with her husband to the wedding. So I remember almost like, it was basically like, I think it was in the middle, like, you know, almost ending. You know, people were starting to go home, and this coworker gave me a strong hug. Like, she hugged me so tight, and she was like, can I have your number, please? And I was like, yes, of course, you know. And she left. So I didn't think nothing of it, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna tell you about that. But anyway, we end up leaving. Now, literally, my friend, who was one that warned me, about him as well was the one to drive us home. So this is how rinky dinky, and this is how this marriage was not from the Lord. That my friend drove us home because we didn't have the money for no hotel, no limo. Not that those things are important, but just see what the enemy was doing, right? Just see where this is going at. We went home, and when I just remember feeling miserable. I remember feeling pregnant. I remember feeling confused. I remember feeling insecure. I remember feeling like, who did I just get married to? So I asked him, I said, did you know that you were looking at my family a certain way? Did you know that you were, I caught you looking at them some type of way? Do you know what he told me? Oh, I forgot to tell you that I kind of battle with that. The Lord has delivered me, from that. But I kind of have a, I got a little lust in me that, I can't help. But it's like, I be staring at women and stuff like that. But I've been praying that the Lord deliver me from this. So I'm like, what do you mean? So the whole time you've been knowing that you're dealing with this and you got married to me, all this time you've been sitting here praying and fasting with me, trying to help me get healed and delivered from some stuff, and you were dealing with some stuff, and you couldn't tell me that you were dealing with that, knowing that I came from a life of a life of hurt and everything, rejection and everything more, and the fact that I'm still dealing with my confidence, and you sitting here and you telling me that you're dealing with this. And he pat me on the back and he said, don't worry about it. The Lord is with us. I believe the Lord is going to deliver me and, soon and such and such. So I'm like, what? And I just remember crying my butt off because I'm like, wait, what? And when I tell you, it was just like, I had so much going through my head that I couldn't even enjoy our first night. It wasn't even our first night, but because you already know I'm pregnant. But I just couldn't even enjoy that night. This is my wedding night. My wedding night turned into a straight disaster, right? So after this, it's like we're going along, it just got to a point where I just didn't look at him the same. Now I couldn't even hide it, Man, it got to the point where we started getting attacked in our sleep, both of us. We will be asleep in the bed, and those spirits, them demonic spirits, will be pulling us left and right. Like, it will be times we'll be getting yanked off the bed. Things just started to get so bad. It was like this disgust feeling. Like, I no longer wanted to be around him. I no longer wanted to smell him. Like, it was just like, what is going on? Like, it's something about him, and I can't put my finger on it. And I remember being called I ended up getting called from his coworker. The coworker called me, and she was telling me how, Jennifer, I'm sorry what I'm about to tell you, but I had to leave the wedding because the spirit that I seen on him, I couldn't take it. She said, I watched him the whole time. I was so disgusted that I told my husband, we have to go. She said the lust spirit on him is so heavy that he was literally eating every woman that was walking past. And I couldn't take it. And she was letting me know how she dealt with that spirit and how I will have to begin to fast and pray a lot for him. Now, I'm going to have to cut this video off because he's probably about to start crying. So I'm about to cut this off, pat him up, and I'm going to continue this video.